For more, let's go to Hamburg. And Josef Joffe, publisher of German newspaper Die Zeit, thank you for speaking with us here on France 24.
Thank you for having me.
Are these just regional elections, or has Germany's political landscape just been redrawn?
These are, as always, regional elections where the far right, over the last 40, 50 years, has always scored quite nicely. They're just called differently, without ever scoring on the national level. It's a bit like Marine Le Pen. I mean, she does well in the first round, she doesn't do so well in the second round. So regional elections do not foretell a national outcome, especially since the only place where the regional elections matter is whether they shift the power relationships in the upper house, in the Bundesrat. And there, I think, all told, I think the power relationships will not change. Whoever was in power before will be leading the government after this Sunday's election.
Won't change for now. However, 24% in Saxony. What's your reaction to that?
Well, my first reaction is that we are talking about one of the smallest states in the Union, about 2 million out of 80 million. So I would not take that as a signal for the way the rest of the country is going. But let me make another point. What we are really talking about is what's going to happen to Angela Merkel. And the pundits over the last 3 months have been saying, well, this is going to decide her fate. But if you look at the public opinion figures, there's no such thing in the office. Let me give you 2 numbers. It is true that about 6 out of 10 Germans don't like the way Angela Merkel handles the refugee policy, but almost as many are happy with her policy overall. Their approval rate is in the high 50s, and that's considerably more than Obama is getting in the United States.
All right, there could be another spanner in the works this week. There's an EU summit coming up. She's trying to get everybody on board for this deal with Turkey to send back migrants and refugees for processing. In exchange, Turkey could have a fast track when it comes to things like visas. There's dissent among other European members. Will Merkel's standing slip further if there's no deal on Thursday?
Well, there are two points I would like to make. Number one, I think everybody in the EU will be quite happy if the stream of refugees were stopped in Turkey, and if Turkey were to take back those who have gone by boat to the Greek islands. So there's no debate on that. The whole second point is that the whole issue hinges on Mr. Erdogan, who has the greater leverage now because Merkel and the EU want something very badly from him. Will they put him on fast track for EU membership? No way. I don't even think that Mr. Erdogan is interested in that, because then he would have to sign up to all those wonderful things enshrined in the EU treaties, like a rule of law, freedom of opinion, freedom of the press, independent judiciary, etc. So I think that's just a way to raise the price. I don't think he wants it, and Europe doesn't want it.
But he would like an easing of visas, and on Saturday, the French president, François Hollande, said no way.
Well, he's not going to get that, because if you have visa-free entry, that means mass immigration from Turkey. So it comes down to the price in money. The EU has promised 3 billion. I would not be surprised if it went up to 6 and 9 billion or more, because Turkey is the key to the whole enterprise. If they don't stop the flow or bottle it up in Turkey, that means that Greece, which is already a kind of failing state, will turn to one huge camping ground for the refugees who are there and who will continue to come.
Josef Joffe, you said earlier that when it comes to getting back to Germany, to the AfD party, that anti-immigrant party, that there's only so many votes they can get in a national election. Nonetheless, historic inroads on Sunday. We have the National Front in France. There's UKIP, which is fueling the Brexit camp in
Look,
Britain. Some speak of a Trumpification of European politics. Do you think that's the case?
Yes. No, you're absolutely right on the rest of Europe. Every single EU country has representation of rightish populist parties in the national parliament. But don't forget the joker in here, which is Germany's past. And so for the last 70 years, there have been about 24 right-wing parties, and they never went anywhere. They never, ever got into the national parliament, and they remained flashes in the pans on the regional, on the state level. I would like to make a point of, theoretical point, which is you mustn't confuse local or regional elections. I mean, the AfD did even better. They got a third of the vote in local elections in Hesse. You mustn't confuse them or conflate them with national outcomes. To register your protest on the lower level is one thing. To do it on the national level is another story.
Josef Joffe, publisher of Die Zeit, many thanks for joining us from Hamburg.
Thank you for having us. Au revoir.
À bientôt.